Okay, hello everybody. Good evening, good morning, whatever time of the day it is where you are. It is so good to have you with us for our conversation today. I'm excited that we can be together. In case we're meeting for the first time, my name is Tolulope Moody, and I'm here with my wife. She is Adebola
Deborah.
Moody. You always say your first name is Deborah.
Yeah,
Now
my
here
name
we
is
go.
Deborah Adebola Moody.
She didn't tell me that before we married, but now I found out that she has a different first name after we got married. All right, and we have some amazing people with us. We're going to be having a conversation together. So I'm going to allow them to do the honors of introducing themselves. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have every husband introduce his wife, and every wife introduce her husband. All right. So let's start from here. Husband, introduce your wife.
But should they tell us how long they've been married? What do you
Yes, they
think?
will tell us that
All
also.
right.
Okay, yeah, all right. So this is Iyanu,
Okay.
and I am Daniels. So
No, she's going to introduce you. Just
okay.
introduce,
So
do the
this
honors
is
of introducing her.
Iyanu,
Iyanu, okay.
Kizo.
What about her is, what's like the first thing you think about when you're around her? Like, what's just that first thing
First
about
thing I think about when I'm around
that
her.
stands her out? Let's put it that way to you.
Okay, so I need to be sure. Is it something that I can say openly?
Please, something that you can say. We are on camera here, please.
PG-13.
Please.
And there are some
Please.
things you cannot say openly.
Okay. Well, I think there's for one. I like how I met her. So I mean that always takes me back how I met her. I mean just before we started now we're asking ourselves like wait, I mean when did we meet and all of that. And she was saying something that we met in April, like a week before I chatted her up. I was like, but we've always been seeing each other in church. She's like, she did not see me. I'm like, no. I'm
She
like,
didn't see
yes,
you.
she did not see me.
You
I'm
were
like,
seeing
that's
her.
not possible. But we have been doing some things in church together.
Oh, wow.
But
She was
anyway.
focusing on the Lord.
Yeah.
While you were looking at other things. This is, I think this is something about many guys in church.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to take this too far, but it seems like there's something about the guy is seeing her. She's not seeing him. She's focused on God, but apparently.
Just like I was too.
No. This is about them. This is about
no,
them.
no, 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 no.
This
Let's
is
not even
about
start
them.
it.
What happened between us? Anyway, we'll come to that. Okay, and you introduce your husband.
Okay. Okay, so I was going to say my name is my husband's name is Daniel Kizo. Incidentally, when I met him, his name was Daniel or Lanre,
Any coach, Shelu?
but now his name is Daniel.
Wow. How long have you guys been together?
Uh, Going to 2 years now.
2 years.
Yeah,
Two
so we
years.
did our
Is
first
it, is it
anniversary. That
from
was
when?
Okay, that's married, right?
Yeah, married.
Married going 2 years.
yeah,
Oh,
going
okay.
2 years. But
How
we've
long
known-
did you date before getting married?
3 years. We did there for
3
3
years,
years since
before you got married.
2018.
Oh, okay, so on this side they use the word dating. We'll come to this other side where they use the word courting. So, but let's do the introductions first. Would I have the wife introduce the husband introduce the wife? Let's start.
Why did you change the pattern? It was husband.
Okay, husband to introduce wife first. I'm sorry.
Ladies first.
Yeah, exactly. Ladies first.
Okay, ladies first.
After men.
Well, okay, that's Ikeoluwapo Moody. Ore Ofe. Ikeoluwapo Ore Ofe.
Oh, fantastic. It's how she blushes when you're introducing
I'm
her.
telling you.
This might actually caught my attention.
Oh, nice. So good.
What caught your own attention about me? Don't say
Wait,
they're so good.
wait.
No. I
Let's
want to
learn
hear.
from people.
I want to hear.
Elders are speaking. You want me to be talking? And would you introduce him?
Is Jones. Jones is not it's not a common one. The common one is Olanrewaju.
Wow.
So I'm glad that he has a
he used to
namesake
be.
in the house. So he's Olanrewaju Moody.
Wow.
And what strikes me each time I see him is the fact that he's my husband.
Wow.
That's the only thing that is special between us.
Wow.
Nobody can stand up and say he's my husband. No. He's my husband.
So you're learning. Oh, that's so good. How long have you been married?
Okay. 41 years plus now.
Wow.
That's
Amazing.
going on 42.
Going on 42 this year.
42 this year.
Fantastic. And how long did you court before getting married?
Date.
They used the word.
Allow them say
Okay. How long were you together before you got married?
We courted for 2 years. Yes.
Oh, so good.
You met before then, or you started
Okay, we
courting?
met 79.
We started cutting 79. We met
Yeah,
sorry.
78.
We met 77.
7.
Oh,
We,
so
we got to know 77.
77.
But we actually cutted from 79.
Oh, good.
77, that was like my second degree.
In your mind. Okay, so so I think the stage is set for us to go.
Yeah.
By the way, I should say officially, in case you don't know, here are my parents.
Bragging
they
rights.
have bragging rights, and they have successfully raised
3
well,
boys.
they've successfully raised 3. The 4th one is hopefully at some point they'll be able to say they successfully raised 4. I'm still in that process.
I'm raising the first one for them.
You are continuing.
Are you agreeing to that to any extent?
I'm
No,
continuing.
we
we
raised-
raised him.
But you seem to think some things are missing.
Yes.
Well,
Which
body
has-
can raise
Which
perfectly
has now
now.
been met.
Yes.
Wow.
No, but guys,
Wow.
really, I'm telling you guys, on our wedding day, HM danced a lot.
Who is HM? That's
Okay.
Okay, who is HM? Okay, so she's HM.
Okay, she's HM. We call her HM. So HM danced a lot. It was after we got married, and I realized why she was dancing a lot. It was a dance of deliverance.
No, that is not true. That can never be.
Okay, guys, here we are. It looks like I'm going to be the victim today, but the stage is set. So what we want to do is I want to try and have a conversation just around the concept of love, really. Love, marriage, and what that looks like, through generations. Of course, there's a lot different here. They are married almost 2 years now. We are married going on 9 years. And they are married 2 times 9 is 18. Rich times
two.
another 2 times 6 is still not rich. They are going on 42 years. So I think there's a lot. And interestingly, we are all Christians, I believe. And so I think there's a lot that we can just get perspective on as we think around the generations, what is different, and what stays the same, as we try and figure that out. And hopefully, whoever you are, wherever you are, you get something that can be helpful in your journey, okay? Let me start from here. I want to ask, I'll start from you. If you were going to, start out your love journey today, is there anything that you already know, I'll do this differently from what I did 40-something years ago? Is there something that jumps out at you that, man, I know this is going to be different?
In terms of
Well, anything, approach, maybe how you...
relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes. There'll be a lot of changes.
Okay.
Certainly.
What strikes you top that might be different?
There are some things that one just assumed or they didn't find out, for different backgrounds. We come from different backgrounds. And there's something that we just, they didn't take too seriously or they didn't even know about it, which we have found out more. So along the journey, you begin to find out more and you adjust. So definitely there'll be a lot of things that are adjustments that we have to make earlier too.
So true.
So good. Okay, so let's come over to this guy. Should we
Yes.
put them on the spot?
Yes, please.
You want to go?
Yeah. So, if you had to start differently, I would talk about dating, not even marriage. How would
Dating.
you?
So dating, anytime you're saying dating, you look this way. If you're saying courtship, you look that way.
No.
And what do you put
No.
us on?
Let's flip it. Courtship.
Okay, courtship. How long did you guys court?
What would you do differently if you had to date Iyanu or Daniel today, 2023?
I think one thing that maybe I would do differently is I would want us to have conversations on a wider perspective. So we talked a lot around faith. Like one of the questions that really came up was what's your purpose in life, and then what do you think God wants you doing? So it was I appreciated all this conversation. But I would also have wanted to ask, can you cook?
Yeah, don't answer the question.
Wow.
Like this, I would have wanted us to maybe talk around a lot, just spread the conversation in a lot.
Wow.
So that's one thing that really happened. Instead of now finding out later on that really still.
Don't talk about it. We have camera, don't talk about that. But Daniel, you can pray, right? You can pray. Yeah, that's
the
fine.
And
most
that's why they're talking
important.
about purpose-driven life.
Yes.
Relationship.
So I want to ask you a question, Daniel. Did you like go down on one knee, bring out a ring, propose to her?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Oh.
Prof, I want to ask you, did you like go down on one knee, bring out a ring?
I didn't
Tamilade.
even know about that.
No, but how did you make your intentions known to her?
Yeah, that you wanted to marry her.
Oh yeah, I told her I wanted to see her.
Wow.
And then so one day I went to order the tree. I told her.
Under the tree.
Under the tree.
What was the tree? We actually don't know what the tree.
Yes, it's
That's the
called
one that's interesting.
Terminalia tree. It's a Terminalia tree. So we're fantastic. Wow.
I think I asked you before that.
4 weeks.
Before that day on the tree.
Under the tree.
Okay, that's where you got
I've
it.
asked her.
Okay, that's where you
Answer.
got it.
But the answer was to
It's
be
the
given
answer.
under the tree.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, the answer was under the tree.
But
Wow.
I'm curious, how long did it take for her to respond?
You know,
It wasn't long.
about a week.
Yeah. I think we were on holidays at the time.
About a week.
Well, maybe more than a week. It was when we then resumed.
Yeah.
Maybe a week into resumption that we spoke. But it was during the holidays that the asking had happened. But it was after we resumed. Maybe
Give or
a
take
week.
2 weeks.
It have been three weeks. So
You know, I remember like for something years ago. Yours is more. How long did it take to get the
I think it
response?
was like 10 days.
10 days.
I asked
Question
her.
of marriage or dating.
Well, to start a relationship. Let's
Start a relationship.
Okay, so you guys
Yeah, it was 10
separate
days.
dating from marriage, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she was.
Okay, HM, you don't separate dating from marriage.
no. It's
Like
the
once you
same
asked you,
process.
it was-
When she say yes.
Like,
It
yes.
wasn't. It
It's for
wasn't
life.
just
It's not
for
conditional.
dating. It was for marriage.
Oh, okay.
That's a very important point because I remember. So this was the story behind even going on one day,
Shalaye.
right? Because I remember I was like, when she was starting to say, "Oh, okay, you are going to propose, right?" and all of that, I was like, but when I asked you out, I mean, we are Christians. It already explains that we are aiming for marriage. So she was, I mean, she kept on like that. I at one point I had to just give in like, okay, I'm going to.
You're going to go
but when
that
I
one,
decided I was going to do
Just
it, I didn't let her know. So at the end of the day, when I actually went to Lagos to meet her, it was like very shocking for her because she was
She
very
wasn't expecting
expecting it. So,
it. You didn't go on one, you didn't go down one.
I didn't go on one knee. I cannot worship God and worship man. And I'm like my father. what was I going to go
You are
worship?
going to go down that one.
For what? why are you looking for a worship of man?
You know what, on the engagement, on the introduction or engagement day, you have to light and fly.
That's a different
Well,
one.
No, but that
To
was
the
even for
parents.
me. That was
To the
even for me.
parents.
That was
For the
the parents.
This one is for her.
But let me
I want my
ask
own.
you, how do you feel generally when you know that whole thing of like young people, like the guy, so he wants to, like
Marry
he
her.
would formally make an intention of, will you marry me? Then he'll go down on one knee, bring out a ring, and then she goes like she's all surprised and all of that. How do you like just generally feel? What comes to your mind? Like,
I really don't even understand what it's all about. Honestly, that's the truth. I don't understand the what does it stand for? What is the meaning? Why must we do? I don't understand.
Okay, so let me ask you,
Nobody
why
has been able to explain.
why were you
Today.
like prompting him for it?
Because when I agree to date you, yes, this is like God said, okay, you get to know each other. Then when it's now like, yeah, will you marry? Like, you can assume that okay, after all the fact gathering, that the answer like is now automatic.
Wow.
Like, what if I'm now saying that within that time, okay, maybe he's not really a prayerful person, or it's not like you don't really
You cannot
have
cook.
conversations, or you can't cook, or expect. Like things might have changed from where we started out to that point.
So
So
where-
I don't think that maybe I should just assume that.
And so why does he have to be kneeling down on one knee,
He
going
does
down on
not
one knee?
really have to kneel down, but like
Okay.
for the old romantic thing, like just
something that you said.
Okay.
In fact, I was
Maybe we
even
are
planning
not
on
that
buying ring
romantic.
before. She said you must buy ring.
How would you propose without a ring?
very.
How would
Did they propose to you?
No, but honestly, no, thinking about it now, would I have wanted to be proposed to? I didn't really mind. Really,
I wanted to say because you, I think the big issue for me was, let me respect myself because if I put nail down for, I can chop slap. No, not slap like slap, but like what were we?
okay, I didn't mind. Like, it wasn't a big deal for me. But I know I had friends that, even at
mattered
that,
to.
no, it mattered to them because they felt like, maybe like what you're saying, like, okay, there's that part of our relationship we're getting to, but then I want you to set the stage for the next phase and let the guy show that he's excited about it. So I don't think it sometimes means that she's not sure about them getting married, but it's just that part of the emotional field, the way you take me on a date, the way you introduce me to your parents, let's make this really beautiful. Then even having that ring has this thing of I have to show my friends. Like I have
But that was the part that pained me. Because that was the part that pained me, sorry. Because after I gave her the ring, I had to be telling her to wear the ring. She will put the ring at home. So I was like, why did I need give you this ring? It was paining me.
She wanted the moment. She wanted the
I
moment.
wanted
that was
the
just
moment.
it.
She wanted the
And
moment.
then for the ring, I was like, since you've given me this ring, like people would say, when you do someone cheating, like remove the ring. It's my ring. I'm going to wear
So
it.
decide to wear
no, this one, no, you will hold the rope. Oh.
because that ring is a rope on you. But you wanted to say something.
Yes, I don't mind the reason, more or less like reconfirming that the person is still interested. But what worries me, or what I still cannot understand, is why it has to be done that way. And for many people in a public place. I mean, it's supposed to be between us. It's a relationship between us. It has no.
It's public declaration.
No. That's not the day you declare publicly.
No, okay,
Because
so
for whatever that doesn't mean the marriage is sealed. That's not the marriage. It's not the marriage. The declaration is in church or wherever, or in the court registry or whatever. But this one, I guess, is still a private moment. We want to go together, under God. Let's keep praying. Let's keep believing God and things like that. But
it's another culture, really.
when you now
another
get
culture.
to but this is Nigeria. Which
I mean, not to
culture?
declare to the friends that now.
This one is not about
getting ready
friends.
to
We
get
were
married.
in a wedding. We were in a wedding.
oh, that's so romantic. I love it.
I feel like proposing to you again.
And the junior brother, who was he the best man, or we was asked to give vote of time or something.
And he just took the moment.
And then he took the moment and came, and I was wondering what is happening.
So the point is,
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. The wedding didn't go.
And that wedding never eventually happened.
oh well,
That-
okay,
that's
that's not
one
the
out
fun
of-
part. That's not the fun part here. But there's a thing sometimes of how different people create landmark moments.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say it's our 1 year anniversary of dating, and we might decide, oh, let's go and have a private moment. Somebody else might say, oh, let's use this moment to do this. Somebody might be more public about something than the other. So I think there are a few things that are layered in this. One is that idea that, maybe we've been in a relationship and we want to make a definite statement of we're getting ready to get married. And of course, through generations, that might have shifted a bit,
Yeah.
evidently. I know that when I asked you out, what was...
Why are you stammering? Talk.
I'm not stammering, I'm talking.
Speak
When I
up,
asked you
speak up,
out...
speak up.
So, for example, when I asked you out...
Talk now. I don't know. What have I done?
Pastor blushing.
I'm not blushing.
Oh, yeah.
So when I asked her out anyway, I know that it was like I'm asking for a relationship that I believe is leading to marriage, right?
You summarized everything together. You could not differentiate it.
No,
and
which
say,
to
let's
be
start
honest,
out.
many people, it's like, and I'm sure many Christians, that's still the vibe.
Yeah.
I think many Christians is this thing of it's not like we're starting a relationship to play. We
Yeah.
are starting a relationship that we see leading to marriage.
Yeah.
But it's just that sometimes, whether it's a culture, whether there seems to be a thing of, okay, create some definite landmarks along that
Yeah.
journey. One of them being a definite moment when, you would say we are getting ready to get married and bring out a ring and, celebrate it in some way or the other, surprise me. Although many times she's not surprised, but
No,
she would.
sometimes there's
Sometimes
that.
she's really
There's that emotion, and there's surprise part. Sometimes it's
Okay.
surprise. Then sometimes the extent to which the guy goes, like he set up the moment,
And then
so
sometimes the
thoughtful
friends that you can even get to be there,
to
or the
hype
people
you up and all of that.
and
Then
all
some
of
people
that.
even do as much as speaking to the parents to get permission to propose.
To the
I've had
bride.
some of my mentees have their fiances call me in and say that before they propose they want to get my permission to propose
like
to
that.
something like
Mommy,
that.
mommy.
No, my mentees,
Not
yes.
parents, because you were talking
No,
of
parents too,
they
yeah. No,
thought
you got from the
So
parents
parents too.
too. You got from the parents,
Okay.
father, mother,
Okay, and
the brother,
then the
then-
mentor.
So maybe there's a part of like culture and just how
And for him, it
expressive
was
some
like
people
honor.
are.
He felt like let me give honor to whom honor is due before
Before
you
you
go
ever
ahead.
do
Yeah, so I think like Profi was saying, there's that cultural part of it that is situated in our own context that might not
Yeah.
really fit into your own context.
And then based on personality also.
Oh, yeah,
Some people are
personality.
definitely a lot more public than others.
Some don't even want it to be public. Some don't
Yeah,
even
some
want it at
people
all.
would do something. But can anybody think of anything else that just through the years has changed in this space of like how people go about relationships, just differences that just seem to have popped up.
I think one major thing, I mean, maybe more recently, is maybe just how we have all been talking about. Okay, it's the guy approaching the lady. I know that more recently,
It's
there's a
changing.
lot of thoughts of the lady asking. I mean, I have reservations to that personally, kind of. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I'm starting to see, coming up.
Relationship
and
The
all of that.
ladies are the one
Like the
actually
lady,
doing
I
the
mean,
asking.
So
Or positioning themselves.
Everybody
I don't know.
positions.
let me-
The
but let me-
positioning is
I did
not
not
the
position
problem.
myself.
What did you do?
Well,
I did not
many
You
position
people
myself.
do.
say-
Let's go into your story
Okay.
today.
I did not position
Let's go into your story.
Okay.
But can I ask you guys a question, please? What would you say is like your greatest fear? When you just look at the trends of how relationships are going, especially looking at young people as a Christian, all the values that you held 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago, and all of that. What do you think is like, I hope these guys are getting this right?
Oh, well, the only thing I can say is that somehow presently there seems to be, although not in all cases, but there seems to be a lot of casual, big to casual about both.
Commitment.
No serious commitment and purpose. Because when you are going to that relationship, it's a long life thing. So it's not something we trifle about. And it's something one goes in with, especially when you have said yes. In our own case, without this, when you have said yes,
That's it.
then you are committed to say. I mean, of course there'll be ups and downs. There'll be a lot of things, but the commitment is just there. There's no question of thinking otherwise.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm seeing a little bit now, particularly with younger, not wanting to go it. Because if things are okay, they're fine. But once things are not okay, one way or the other, you have second thought. But really, it's a lifelong commitment that come what may. We have agreed together under God, and God is there. So
Yeah.
Fear is, it's like people don't really understand, what marriage is all about. And little wonder, even the outcome of what we see now, because once it doesn't work out, then let everybody just go their way. Whereas the understanding is this thing is not a contract.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong journey. And when you are going on a lifelong journey, you need to actually be sure, at least to some extent, holding on. We know marriage is a journey of faith, but at least there's somebody you are putting your trust in to say that since you have asked me to go, then I will go on this journey. Not that I know what is in tomorrow, but these days, the way things are handled, it brings a lot of fear, because one, even in the marriage, the commitment, like my husband said, is no longer there. So you see the wife doing her own, the husband doing their own, and many times you are wondering,
Like what? Yeah.
you know, is this really aha? You know, like Iyanu said, there are many things you really don't talk through at the beginning, but they are taking. They are taking. I mean, whether my husband can cook or not, that's not the determinant of. You understand? So I wouldn't even bother to ask him. He may come. I mean, as we are talking, as I visit him, I may see that this man can't even cook. But it will not change my mind.
Want of friends.
Which still continues till today. You understand? But it will not change my mind because the basic is there. Is God leading me into this marriage and then helping me to work things out for his own purpose. So that's the greatest fear because we really don't see that in many of the things, you know, the way we casualize it,
Yeah.
the way that's to me is the greatest fear.
Then, sorry, to add to what Matt said, I really think that so sometimes a lot of the relationships that I know, for instance, I see them on WhatsApp status. So you know that okay, someone is going with someone, this stuff. And then when they are not also maybe in a good place, you also care about on the WhatsApp status and all of that. So I think that maybe because of the whole commitment at the beginning, most people going into dating just most times largely because I want someone to love me or I want a circle of friends around me, not necessarily because I'm in a stage where okay, I'm ready for a serious relationship or I know that this is the next right step for me to take. So because it's not there really isn't that commitment, that weight to it. It's very easy for when it now becomes a little tricky, people just flare up and then the things that you're supposed to be communicating inside or maybe even talking through with God first, it becomes a thing of just go on social media to rant. So you
Public
read people's stories and stuff like that. So I think that's one trend that I have particularly been seeing, especially because like I have a lot of young people that I see their status. So it's really like it's a relationship, yes. I mean, to some extent it's public, like Pastor would say, but at the end of the day, it's also not it's not you're not in a relationship with the entire world. You're in a relationship with one person who is supposed to, I mean, it's supposed to be that God is at the lead of this. So if anything happens, first is through God, and then if it needs to be escalated, then maybe to mentors or people higher ups, accountability partners and stuff. So I think that's one trend that I
Thank you. Can I ask something on
Okay.
this? I just want. Oh, okay, you're still on
You
this.
actually follow through on
Okay.
this. So I was wondering what's different now. I don't know whether it's what you want to ask about even starting out a relationship in the first place. Looking at this generation and this generation, I was like, you know that thing of I know sometimes it's almost like your own generation. There's a lot of accountability is more structured. You're probably talking to a pastor. It's not like me myself and I just sit down and says this and all of that. So I'm just thinking of how that difference in even starting out relationship. You know, if I've spoken to my pastor about it, if I have trusted friends and older ones, it's not possible for us to have disagreements and I don't go back to them. But in this case, sometimes it's almost like I just see this guy, I like the guy, love at first sight, and we're
On
on.
our way.
And she's almost like that tree that seed that falls by the wayside, and the one that actually goes deep down into the
Yeah.
roots.
So if I can just even write on that, thank you. If I can write on that and maybe just ask generally, in view of all of this and how different it is
Yeah.
between what was, many years ago and what is now, how would you advise about young people building commitment? Like, so we've said a lot of, it feels like things are very casual now. But okay, so I'm trying to start out a relationship or I'm new in a marriage. What would be your top advice and just across board about how we can be building commitment, not just being casual, but building strong, committed relationships? What would be your top advice?
Well, I think it depends on also the mindset of people. I mean, like she said, I see a lot of things today. People want to be top. I mean, there's a lot of things in the public arena. You want to hype yourself. Some people put on social media that they're Johannesburg and they are still Nigerian. you know that I see such I see such mindset, and I can't understand, why it is because this thing is a relationship between two of you and God. Come on. And it is not anybody else that will come and live with you or come and interpret things. It's actually how you are going to relate to God and relate to one another. And God also be in that business. Even when you are resolving conflict, for example, it's God that is also in the business. So the commitment, to me, I see it like Ruth making up her mind that she doesn't know where she was going with Naomi. But he said, your God will be my God. Your people, my people. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Where you even die as well. So it's totally sold out. And that is something, it's a life of faith under God. Because number one, it's a journey of faith. Yeah. So I think on that spiritual basis is there. A lot of other things crumbles because the spiritual basis is not there. So it is as profound as that. That number one, the two of you must have that same focus. And base life on the commands of scriptures. And then, you can see fly. Under God.
So good. Thank you.
Yeah, just following on what my husband said, I feel that there is a lack of understanding of what marriage. I know it is taught. I know we hear it here, there, and many times it is the views of individuals that we hear. And you can hear somebody say, it doesn't matter. Yes, if your husband is not doing well. I've heard of pastors who advise that until your husband has this and this and this, you must not even say yes. That's an individual opinion. That's not biblical. And you see that many of these young people, because they are really not interested in seeing what does the Bible say, they would either say, what does my pastor say? Or what does this mentor say? And as the mentor is, so you will be. Because he can only guide you based on his own understanding, which may really not even fall in line with the word of God. So it is good that our young people these days, they are redirected back to the scriptures. That's the only way they can have proper understanding. Because honestly, marriage cannot be trivialized.
Yeah.
And these people, and many times you sit down and say, just these people know what they are doing. It's a journey of no return. Like we always joke, the moment you are moving out of your parents' house, I don't know how many of you your parents told, you don't have a room in this house again. You don't have a room. It's as serious as that. So if I know that that means it's a journey of no return. So why would I not settle myself?
They can rent their house. They can rent their house. Like their options.
But, no. Those options, it's not. I'm sure you understand.
Sure, definitely.
What the parents are saying.
Yes, I'm just saying that it feels like our own generation. There seems to be a lot of options suddenly.
That option is not even an option.
Yeah, definitely.
Because many times, even before you got married, you are probably living on your own. But they still tell you. So it's not that you cannot rent a house, but they are sinking it deep down into you that this is a step you have taken. You are not coming back. You're not coming out of it. And we see parents, there is a lot, when we talk about commitment, it's a big word that needs to be broken down. Everything is not, hey boy, hey girl.
Those things are nice.
Yes.
Hey boy.
Everything is not that.
Hey girl.
There are more. more fundamental issues that people are not facing the reality.
Yeah.
You know, they
So good.
they really don't understand. They think it's the flamboyance, you know, the ambience of everybody is there. Oh, you know, I'm going to wear. That's what many people think.
The list of them.
But when they now come to that reality,
Yeah. But can I ask you something? Just as you're talking about like this ambience and all, do you in some way also think that, you know, maybe first thing I should ask, I heard you say like young people, young people. Where do you start counting young from? Let's just try and put like a
40 and
benchmark.
below.
Where does one start from?
It's not a matter of age,
Not
actually.
really age.
It's not really a
So
age.
me and you, we fit in the same generation.
No problem. Once we share the same
I'm not married to an
values.
old man.
I'm not
Okay,
old.
but
My husband is not old.
how old are you now?
60, going to 66.
Oh, 66, and your husband is going
Going to
70.
70, yeah.
Really
Okay.
young.
So, what I wanted to ask, do you think in some way that your generation, like I'm so grateful, honestly, I would say this, I grew up and I saw one thing that definitely helps me even in my marriage and that helped a lot in my relationship is just what I learned from you guys. Just when you use words like commitment, I know you're not just saying it. I mean, I've watched this for 30 something years now. I've seen you through different seasons.
Yeah.
I've seen, I mean, many times for me and my brothers, we all say this to ourselves that for us, we're just in a journey of seeing the standards you guys set and just hoping that at some point in our lives we would come close, you know. Like it's amazing what we've seen.
You're a better version.
Oh well, thank you for your humility. You know, but I do think that sometimes I also look and feel just this thing you're saying about like, oh, the ambience, the feel, just those expressions, the vibe, and all of that, the atmosphere. I do also think that when I look at your generation, maybe some of those things were also, um, under like it wasn't a big deal. It felt like, nobody romance was just about commitment. It really wasn't about how you feel and all of that. And on the flip side, you know that we see a generation that maybe emphasizes all those things and forgets about this. But do you think there's a meeting point?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, for example, do you sometimes wish there was more ambience, hey guy, hey girl, or whatever that
Hey,
was like.
boy.
That you deserve is old.
No, let them start from where they are. Do you think there's a meeting point somewhere?
Well,
I think there is.
they,
Am I not trying to imagine?
Please, want to hear what was the most romantic thing for
Okay, so let's do a check. What was your first date? What was your first date?
First dates. What was the one we went to?
when they started
Was
dating?
not-
Dating.
Yeah, like where they went on.
Like after we started dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one we went to, like the movies or something like
Yeah.
that?
We went to a
Yeah,
movie.
We went to the movies. And the funny thing was that day we were going to the movies, I remember that. So it was like I came inside UI. I think it was after school or something. After
After
work.
work.
That day. So I was coming from work. So I came into UI. She was still in UI then, our final year. So I came into UI and then I met her somewhere and then we were then walking to the gates to then go to the movies. And I remember that day as we were like there's one roundabout close to that that girl's hostel.
Okay.
I just saw Pastor's car coming. I'm like, thank God I've told Pastor before. I'm like, thank God.
You are too.
But
But I didn't see you guys.
He didn't see us coming. But
You dodged.
Wow.
You dodged. Iyanu, you dodged. Okay, so your first date was like a movie date. Have you guys ever gone on a movie date?
No, I'm not
Watch
sure.
television. We watch television.
You watch TV at home. Yeah, that works. That works. That works for the context. But can you remember when your
we
first?
go to sports? We go to sports together.
Yes.
I mean, she joins me on basketball court.
Oh, that's so
Basketball.
good. She played basketball with him.
No, she did. She doesn't now.
No, she joins.
Say
him.
joins him
She
like.
joins me.
I joined him.
Oh, you play.
This is romance, man. What are you talking?
Hey boy.
Have you ever followed me to tennis court?
Yes, now.
When you
I
follow
have. We
tennis
still
court?
went last week Tuesday.
No, you didn't follow me to watch me play.
What you play
passing.
now in
I've watched
Abeokuta
one.
now? Yes, now.
That you are complaining throughout.
Boring.
Okay, so you guys give us date ideas, date night ideas. Like, what would you suggest for
Date
them?
night idea.
Yes, for them, and they'll get to do it.
Yeah. So they're celebrating, they're preparing for their 42nd wedding anniversary. Give us a date idea for them.
And they also will give them date idea.
Yes, and they also give you a date idea.
I know, go
Date
first.
idea.
Okay. All right. Date ideas. Well, I think interesting. Well, I think they can always do a movie.
A
That's
movie.
one. That's
Which
one.
movie?
What
Which
movie?
Okay, movie.
What movie?
Okay.
I think that's like a lot of
Okay,
research.
okay.
Then, of course, you can do dinner dates as well.
dinner
dinner.
date.
Yeah, dinner dates. There's that. Sometimes could be even in.
So for like the dinner, give us like set up the
Set,
atmosphere, like
yeah.
give me like candlelight, stuff like that.
So I remember there was this dinner we had in my house one time like that. So it was after she got pregnant, or after we found out she was pregnant, and then so she was preparing a lot of that in the kitchen, like preparing the food. And so there was this scented candle and all of that that we had at home, and
Brought it back from Couples Connection.
Slovenia.
a souvenir. So I just like brought it to the dining table, lit it up, put up the lights and all of that. There was some rose petals as well.
Oh, rose petals. Okay.
And then
couples
just, you know,
retreats.
just scattered her around.
That's right.
And so when she just came out of the kitchen, she was just like, oh, she just like,
So they can try that.
You can
Right?
try that. Do you promise? Because one of the things that I noticed growing up is that anytime I see dad, going with like some of, well, we can call it romantic vibes, well as his generation would allow, I don't usually see you do like the the best I see from her is things like kidney.
You are correct.
I think that may not even really encourage him to
Exactly.
do
To go for it,
No,
yes.
but trust
So
me,
yours-
after 42 years, nothing that doesn't
But we
encouragement.
don't need date ideas now because we have you.
No, they have better date ideas than
You
we
are
do.
Yeah,
always
upgraded.
arranging it for us. And you
The one
bring
we,
us
the
into
one we
it.
got to Abeokuta that day, that was
You are always arranging it for us. So whether we like
But
it or
for
not.
this dinner date, can you give them like a dress code? Can you give them like a dress code? Do you have any suggestions?
She can wear like shorts.
Yeah.
if it's inside,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, if it's inside of the house, yeah, that works. Yeah,
She can wear a dress.
yeah.
Like a dress. Yeah.
Like a really, really nice dress.
Oh.
What
Yeah.
about
Well,
for
Slim
that?
hands, like, or tube.
But if it's indoor and
She can go a little
she
more,
can go a little more.
okay. We're on camera. Don't go too far.
like show some skin. Yeah. It's allowed. Okay, so they are going to give them date ideas.
You also going to give them a date idea. You have any date idea for them?
We never dated, so there's no.
No, not date in that
Our
sense.
generation
Like,
doesn't even.
What can a
not-
couple do together?
oh no, the date idea we're talking about is something you
Yes,
do even when you're married. Like you go out together, special moment idea.
Yes.
All them together. Go to the farm together.
It's part of it now.
Like go to the farm together.
Together.
yes.
That would be nice.
That's part of it.
No.
There are these special trips.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
instead of you just go on the train, go to somewhere.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good one.
My father has romance.
No,
What are you
I think
talking
he's the
about?
more romantic. No, I think he's the more romantic person than
I'm not good on that.
HM. Yes,
Bola,
I think so because I'm not feeling your vibe, HM.
No. Between both of us, who has better ideas?
You said
Who has better ideas out of
He
both?
said, well,
for
I agree.
both
Actually.
of you.
For
set us up.
That's why
You know,
I said you
what
are
day
the
was it
ones.
day before
now.
yesterday? What day was I off?
No, I'm serious. Like she goes to him and she whispers to him, "I think you should try this out for."
Really?
I'm
No,
serious.
like 2 days ago, I was off, so I cooked before they got home. My wife was going to pick them from school and bring them home, so I cooked and then I set the table. Then I lit a candle. I just nothing too deep, but I just set
Yeah.
it and all of that. And then my daughter just runs in. Oh, this is so
Ah.
romantic.
Girl is all shades of.
I'm like,
One thing we could not, we didn't have the opportunity that we didn't have a girls close to us.
yeah.
That's
True.
true.
Maybe that's why she's.
We better very masculine.
She's a product of you guys. I agree. I agree. Settles it. It settles it.
Oh my god. Man, we've drugged a bit. We've got, let's start bringing this together. Let's start bringing this together. All right. So as you look at the next like 20 years, do you know the funny thing, guys? In like 20, 30 years time, you know, you guys can be on this side,
Yeah.
and somebody else will be here
Yeah.
trying to prove to you guys that you are old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what I want to ask now is,
course.
in 30 years' time, what do you still want to see as like the base of your marriage, of your relationship? What do you want to be holding on to? Right? Like, oh, even if I'm old, even if some younger people have some quote unquote fresh ideas, what do you want to say, well, this is what I have. This is what I'm holding on to here.
I think one major thing, which is still the case even right now, is I always want the love that we share to be genuine. I mean, I don't I don't want it to get to a point where it's sort of like plasticky. I mean, like Pastor would say, like I want it to be genuine. Even if when we're maybe like 40 something or even 30 something years into the marriage and all of that, just that holding that genuineness of the love that we share. So I mean that we have full lives. Like
Yeah.
I mean happiness and all of that. It's a really big thing for me that I always like to
True.
I mean
So good.
Then I think to add to that, one thing that I would bring forward is I believe that for any, it's my personal conviction that for any relationship to work, marriage or whatever, it's first of all a reflection of your relationship with God. I believe that if I'm not right in my work with God, I won't get right in my work with you. I won't love you the way God wants me to. If I'm being selfish, there's no one to caution me because maybe I'm not listening to the Holy Spirit or something. So that's one thing I think that we even said that was on January 1st or something like that about relationships and all. So I think 30, 40 years from now, I would still want first my relationship with God to be very vibrant. I would want to, like, God should be able to say, this is it, or this
Yeah.
thing will hurt Daniel, don't do this, or this, go this way. I believe that if my relationship with God is shorted, it will bring light into whatever relationship, whether it's with my children, my husband, the
Yeah.
people around. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing would be friendships. I would want our friendship to be healthy. I believe that when he first said he was seeing me in church, I wasn't seeing it. I was not I wasn't in that space of looking for a relationship or something. Like God had weaned me kind of, but I had that old desperate phase as well, where everybody was a potential husband,
wow.
like stuff like that. So, but I had gotten to that space where I appreciated healthy friendships. And sometimes I know that what people actually need is not a relationship. What they need is like healthy friendships around them. So I would still want 30, 40 years to have that healthy friendship with him as we are going through life, whatever might come. I want to be his friend.
Oh,
I
that's so
also
good.
want like that.
Yeah.
So good. So good. So good. If I bring it this way now, I'll tweak it a bit. Um, I mean, I have, like I said, I've been privileged to watch you through different phases, um, raising young kids. Now you are more like in a grandparenting phase, um, retiring from work, and then. But as you look at the future now, as you look forward, um, maybe as Jesus tarries and grants you life, another how many years ahead of you, what does a story of love and marriage, what does a story of love and marriage look like to you now? As what are you looking forward to? Is there things you're still trying to build? What does it look like where you're sitting now as you look to the future?
Well, I think we're still praying for more understanding.
Wow.
You know, we're interested that we need to understand ourselves more.
Of us.
No, no,
Of each other.
That's never going to end.
This headline, we're in this for life.
I need to have facets my own.
more understanding. Because
Wow.
actually, you know, in many ways, we're like, what's an opposite in some things. What she likes, sometimes I don't like it.
Wow.
It's interesting the way God brings two together. So there's a need for more understanding. We get into a
Makes sense.
for example, she likes a lot of dancing. I don't like dancing too much.
Oh, she did.
Jeff does that.
I'll just give that as an example. So there are some things that we are not, you know, so we still pray for more understanding on a daily basis.
And this prayer is going to go on for a long time, babe.
I'm comforted.
We'll be here. Such
I'm
encouragement.
too comforted.
Wow.
So that's one. And then looking forward also to have more time.
Oh, I thought you said more kids. Okay.
More time.
You notice she didn't laugh. Because it was when Sarah laughed that they said, well, you notice she did not laugh. You noticed her straight face. Before I go and laugh at.
Oh, you really have to rear the children.
Yeah, more time.
More time together.
Wow. Anything else?
Yes, and you know, as the years are advancing, a lot of changes are also taking place, and that love that brought you together needs to be strong to be able to hold you together at such times.
Wow.
So it's something to keep working at.
Wow.
Like Iyanu said, that God factor is very important, you know, because you just discover that as the years are advancing, you know, then you say, everything is, all these lepa is becoming, you know, the body is changing. So the need to keep loving, you know, because that's when you keep understanding that it is the love that actually helps you to be able to move on in this journey. You know, it's okay when everybody was strong enough, you know, to do this, but now you are needing to depend more on one another, on each other, and so you need that love. For me, also the grace to continue to submit. You know, because it's a phase I have struggled with, you know, over the years. And I know that without it, you really can't, you can't get the love of the man. You can't. I mean, except we're deceiving ourselves. Like people always say, you can't have two masters in a house. It's not possible. We may pretend, but if we truly want to, one has to submit to the other. Of course, submitting to one another in love, but much more importantly, you know, the issue is directed to women. So for me, I keep finding myself praying, because it gets to a point when you feel you are strong enough, you know, financially, physically, everything. So why do I have to submit? But you need to keep on that no matter who you are, you have to keep submitting, even as the years go by. So it's that I keep looking and praying that, Lord, for as long as you give us life, you know, keep me at this level so that I can keep enjoying the love of my husband even all through the years.
So good. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Let's start bringing it together.
Some deep thoughts.
Yeah, deep thoughts for you to go and
You did not hear your daddy's own.
you shall head her own.
Heard it.
That after
And I truth of the matter is also that the man has to also go on loving.
Yeah.
Whatever she does or doesn't do, there must be a commitment to love.
Wow.
So, and that's also the prayer that I want to praise every day.
Wow.
You know, and there's a way that God also continues to minister that. That is what I'm saying.
Well, that's a lot of learning. A
But I
lot of
have a
learning.
question
Sure,
Yeah,
please.
sure.
for what you just said. So, like Bible says, like your commitment to love, regardless of what the other person doesn't do. Like it's both ways and love. But like we're all humans, and like it's easy to love when maybe someone the other person is
Behaves, quote
Oh
upfronting
and unquote.
yes, you are correct.
is
You are
also
correct.
loving or
Yes,
is being
yes, yes,
submissive and
yes.
all. So like how do you as a maybe as a husband or as a wife, how do you find it to continue loving, especially maybe when the other person is either not being loving in the ways that you need to be loved, or the other person is not being submissive in what you think so.
You are correct. It gets harder.
Mm.
But you see, there must be something in the back of your mind that says that this is what you must do. And because if you also try to do it other way, one just react to it as I'm not going to love because of that. You just be punishing yourself. I mean, as a man, we see that we just punish yourself.
Wow.
A lot of things also go wrong. Well, I mean, many things not work
Yeah.
because one is not obeying. So, but it's easier when the two of them are synchronizing. But sometimes, and that is where that point, that question is very, very important.
Yeah.
It's not always easy.
Yeah.
And that's part of understanding that I was talking about. Because, they will always tell us, of course, that's what is in the Bible, that God compares the love of the husband to the wife to the love of
Christ.
Christ and the
Christ
church.
for the church. You understand? And Christ loved us not because of who we are,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
because of what we did or we did not do. He just loved us for who we are.
Yeah.
So irrespective of who the lady is, what she does not do, the
Yeah.
responsibility God has placed on the man is to love.
Yeah.
You understand? Is to love. Just as our own is to submit.
Yeah.
Aha. I heard a pastor saying that God knows that those are the most difficult for both genders. That for the woman, you can submit to every other person, even younger than your husband. You can kneel down, you can respect. But when it comes to your husband, it's difficult. He says God knows, and that's why he has specifically said that woman, you must submit. And he says the same for the man, that God knows that love, because you have married a woman who may do this and say, what do you have? I have. It may be difficult, but just look at how Christ loved the church and expressed the same kind of love. So it's not really about what the woman does or what he does not do. And that's why we need to keep praying for grace to be who God wants us to be in the marriage, so that it makes it easy for both of us to blend together.
Thank
So
you.
good.
Thank you. So good. All right, let's try and bring this together. I think it's been a good conversation.
Yeah.
A lot that we have learned.
Thank you.
But two quick questions I'm going to ask the wives, and then I'll come back to you.
Mm.
What do you do when your husband is watching soccer? Or what
What
have you
do
Or
learned to
what,
do through the years?
when my husband is
When your
watching soccer,
husband is
or
watching
what does
Or
soccer?
the
my
other way
husband do
around.
when I'm watching soccer?
The other way around. Yes, now. I was
Interesting.
Oh,
wondering.
that's what it has become now, apparently.
Interesting.
How about here? What does that look like here?
It doesn't apply.
What do you do when your husband is watching
Movies. I think that's bossy, right?
movies?
So when
Watch
he's
together.
watching, at first he used to get can sit down and watch movie, and then for him he says it's distressing. So what I just do, or what I usually do is I just go and sleep, or I read a
Don't
book.
sleep.
Yeah, either I go and sleep, that's if I'm feeling tired, or I read a book, or if the noise of the movie is not disturbing, just go and sit down beside him and whatever I want to play there. Just now, watching your
So she always feels like if we're watching like different movies, she always feels like we are not having
divided
a
as
together
like,
time enough.
we're not-
And meanwhile, my interest in
I
movies
don't like
is very different from my interest in movies. So I mean, we end up like, even sometimes when I'm watching a movie, she also is maybe watching a different movie, but like she always just feels like we are not
Separating the
doing
family.
this thing together.
And what we learned today, understanding up to 42 years. That's a prayer point.
All the best on your journey. What have you learned to do when your husband is watching soccer?
My children now watch soccer, so I just find sometimes I don't think I really join
She
like
doesn't
that.
join like that.
I do something
But the
else.
children have started joining, which is
Yeah,
really good.
I do something else.
It's
Wow.
good to join, but later in life, you might be the one to take over.
Honestly,
That's how
case
we
in point.
started.
But I
We
think
all
she has
used to
loyalty
watch.
issues. Because when our team is winning, when
we-
Liverpool is winning, she was formed that she's joining. But once you start losing like this, she starts saying she's supporting Newcastle. I'm like,
I want to change
Newcastle,
Jesse.
Newcastle. Ah, okay,
of
well,
all teams.
yeah, that's what we're going through. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
We
it's
should
been
say
a great
thank you.
time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It has
Thank
been
you
a
for
for
very
coming.
having
helpful
us.
conversation.
Not a lot. Dating tips.
Yeah,
Dating
dating tips. Yeah, dating tips. But I mean, I do think a lot to just like perspective to see, and through it all, through everything that changes. For me, I think a big standout for me is there are things that are going to change, but there are the things that we hold on to
Yeah.
through every generation, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what the world becomes. There's what it means to be a Christian, and there was quite a lot of emphasis about just the standard of God's word through
Yeah.
every generation, and I think that for me is a major takeaway.
Yeah.
And also that it's still 9 years, that 42 years we'll still be praying for this understanding thing
And submission.
and submission. Yeah, we go there. And I mean, for me, if anything, I think it's even inspiring just hearing that, like many times when you see something being built, you don't understand that it's being built in spite of.
Yeah.
Not because everything is perfect,
Yeah.
but it's two people who want to say, in spite of the odds and the challenges, we stay building. So that's a lot to learn. And just to say, this Saturday, remember, we have Single Suya Nights. There's still a lot happening on Love, Dating, and Marriage. We've done I'm in Love with Delilah. We've done I'm in Love with the Jesus Guy. This Saturday, we have Single Suya Night. It's 4:30 p.m. and that's exclusively for singles. Singles, all right?
Heart.
No, singles, not married. By singles, we mean not married, okay? So there's going to be suya, there's going to be singles, and it's 4:30 p.m.
Singles? They're going to be serious. What are you saying?
Yeah, that's why single suya night, singles. That's one thing. Please, you guys, come help me. My wife is always laughing at my lisp.
Single fear.
Singles suya. Singles suya night. Like, can you imagine my wife calling me like, babe, what with the rice with? And I'm like, still. She's like, eh? I'm like, still. And then she's like, still. Like,
That's why you have to pray to love me more.
honestly, this is what I go through.
That's
and
what she loves. That's what she loves. She wants to see more of it.
but yeah, well, so single suya night on
Single suya night,
on Saturday, 4:30 p.m. If you know people you need to invite and all of that, it's really going to be a good one. We're talking how to choose a life partner. That's what we're talking about. And on Sunday we have on Sunday we have how to stay holy when you are horny.
Two favorite
Have you ever heard those words before? You know holy?
Yes.
Okay. You
And we
guys know
know-
honey.
Honey.
Yes.
Have you heard
Honey that we used to take.
So, no,
Because
not to
That's
Honey. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I said honey. that
Did you hear?
instead of
You
sugar.
didn't hear? Come on,
He said only honey. He said we know holy. I said yes. He said we know honey. I said yes. Honey that we use instead of sugar.
it's not that one.
Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about that
Okay,
on Sunday,
okay.
and then guys, we have to go. Bye bye. Bye bye. I can't take this. Thanks for being here, everybody. Good night.
But wait, what
You didn't explain
you want to say
now.
you don't know
What is the
honey?
Yeah,
honey
explain.
now?
Are you joking?
no, it's the one that said he knows what.
Are you saying you don't know?
Let's go off camera.
Iyanu is
Let's go off